Hey, lovely humans. This is a very quick thought. Inspired by the previous video I actually filmed, and my brain was just mulling that over, and it made me think of just this very simple, basic concept that I feel like would really help with processing those feelings. So anyway, the previous video that I filmed was about holding space for your pain, I guess, and acknowledging your pain. And I was reflecting on something that I'm working through right now that was brought up by sort of just like a life event happening. And and I guess the struggle for me was that there's this pain that I was holding that I hadn't told anybody about. And so the people I was interacting with didn't understand that something might be bugging me because they didn't know the context of the pain. So I was wrestling with that because on one hand, it felt like it would be so much easier if people just, if they knew why the situation made me feel uncomfortable and all the pain attached to it. But that also felt scary, and I didn't feel ready to share that, which then kind of made it hard to feel like I could set boundaries around our interaction because they didn't know why I'd have an issue and why I would need to set a boundary. And the thought that I was having that prompted me to pick up the camera is that people don't even necessarily deserve an explanation from you as to why you need to set a boundary. Because it's your right. It's your right to make yourself feel comfortable and take the steps needed to communicate your needs and how other people can interact with you in a way that makes you feel safe and of course doesn't impede on their rights and freedoms. Yeah, that's just the basic concept, right? You don't need to even have, ideally you have a reason as to why you're stating a boundary, but no one deserves to know that reason or even have that explanation. You have a right to keep some things private, especially if it concerns your safety, your mental health. A lot of our pain can feel very shameful, and sometimes we carry our pain sort of silently to protect others. And so, yeah, I feel like for myself, I always feel like I need to give people a reason. I need to justify everything that I do and give an explanation. And yeah, my brain was just thinking about my video and what I had been contemplating this morning, and the little voice in my head said, hey, you know what? You could still set boundaries and not tell people the explicit details of why you're setting that boundary. If they're a good friend, family member, etc., they will just accept that boundary as long as it's reasonable, right? And ideally, they'll just make you feel safe and respected, and maybe then in the future you might feel comfortable to share why you needed that boundary. But really, you could have a boundary for no even real deep reason other than that. Say, I can only hang out with you until 9 p.m. because my bedtime is at 10 p.m. Do you really need to explain that? It's not a deep thing. It's not rooted in pain or trauma, but you could just say that and people don't need to even have to question why. This also reminds me of a conversation I had with a friend a while back about respecting people's bodily autonomy and how it's a little bit more socially acceptable, I guess, or common to not question people on why they aren't drinking at social functions. Whereas in the past, and I am guilty of this too. If you're at a party and someone offers you a drink and you say, "Oh, I'm good. I don't want anything." A lot of the time, people in the past will be like, "What? You're not drinking? Why aren't you drinking?" And I'm pretty sure I've asked people that before. Since realized that there's a lot of reasons why someone might not be drinking, and also, like, why is that the default as to you're normal or whatever if you're drinking and not if you're not? Like, I think there's a lot more power in not drinking. But anyway, that's just an example of how, at least I think we've made some progress in society, and that you can set that boundary of like, no, I'm good. I don't want an alcoholic beverage. Or even with dietary preferences, like, no, I'll have the vegetarian option as a vegan. I often feel like I have to explain. But there are boundaries that keep us safe, happy, whatever, that communicate our needs and help us live in a way that is in alignment with what we need. And we don't always have to give whole justification, because we are humans and we just deserve to be happy, healthy, and pursuing the things we need to pursue to do all of that. So anyway, if you needed a reason, if you needed a reminder, that asking for what you need can be just as simple as that, and you do not need to justify yourself to other people. And especially when it comes to making sure that you are keeping yourself safe and secure, when it comes to getting yourself in social situations or protecting yourself from social situations that might make you feel unsafe or bring up sort of traumatic past experiences or negatively impact your mental health. No one deserves to know every little bit about your life. I am a classic oversharer, but that's not everyone's style. And even I do keep some things to myself, and I don't share everything. And we have to have those boundaries, right? So, long-winded way of saying, ask for what you need and don't feel bad about it, and don't feel like you need to provide an explanation every single time. All right, see you in the next one.